Welcome to the second episode of Vietnam 2025 Recaps from Reality TV Warriors. My name is Michael Harmstone, and joining me as always is the guy who loves to offer a bit of shithousery every now and then, David Windley.
Good morning. I knew that was coming as soon as I saw that. As soon as I saw you said that.
It's the most you quote in the entire episode.
Yeah.
I couldn't resist.
And, Logan's not here, but that's okay. I'm good at podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think, the first episode that the two of us have done just us two since the start of South Africa 2.
Didn't we do the whole season on our own?
Yeah, maybe actually. The only reason I know we definitely did the South Africa premiere on our own is because I actually spotted an error in the notes of last week's episode of stuff that I copy that had been there in every single pool description for 8 seasons, and nobody had spotted it.
Oh, that's how much we pay attention to you.
Yeah, I had to go back and edit every single premiere recap.
Oh, wow.
Which was really annoying.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just the two of us because we had Logan's stupid suspicions that season.
Yeah, good point. I had forgotten about that. I think did he join us at any point that season or not? I genuinely can't remember.
I don't remember if he did the reunion, but he definitely didn't do any of the normal episodes.
Yeah, I've got a feeling he might have done one that season, but yeah, he was able otherwise.
Yeah.
Have you actually heard from Saunders this week? Genuinely?
No.
He has been completely incommunicado, and he did boast, oh yeah, I'm going to have really good Wi-Fi, but I'm not making time to do the podcast this week. And I genuinely haven't heard from him. I don't know if he's in Hong Kong or Macau at the moment. I don't know whether he actually did do the Macau tower jump like he was talking about maybe doing.
Well, we haven't heard any news stories about somebody going splat, so that's a plus.
Yeah, I genuinely have no idea where he is at the moment. And normally we would jokingly ask, oh, where in the world's Logan Saunders? But who the fuck knows at the moment, to be perfectly honest.
MIA in China somewhere, which is, perfect Saunders.
Yeah, he's probably had his kidneys harvested by this point, let's be honest.
Yeah.
On a more positive note, Fuzzy didn't get a bingo last week.
Yay!
We did worry that she might have started the season with a proper bingo, but no, she didn't.
No, she didn't. And I had to go back and listen about 3 times because I thought we discussed that sort of thing. I wanted to make triple sure that it wasn't in the episode.
Yeah, I do a pass every time I see the board, and I thought she had got the middle column, but
yeah,
maybe I removed the bit that would have got the middle column. Sorry, Fuzzy.
Yeah, sucks to be you.
And we were talking before the episode about maybe offering a PT Yankers gamble next week. Rebranded.
Yeah. A Peter Yankers sample.
Yep. In Sam's honour, it's a PT Yankers sample next week, potentially, for Fuzzy. Do we want to talk about traitors, or are we not giving her that square this week?
Let's not give her that square this week.
Okay.
Because I haven't seen any of it anyway, so there's not really that much to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, there has been a spat to do with the US version on Twitter in the past day or so as we're recording this, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Especially for a publication that prides itself and has renamed its YouTube to We Know About Reality TV, I think is their subtitle now. Genuinely, I think that is now their subtitle. It really tickled me when I found it. Because they keep posting all the videos from it.
Is it no KNOW or no NO?
KNOW.
Wow. They're insane.
Yeah, they are actually trying to claim they know anything about certain reality TV shows like The Mole, for example.
Yeah. Question 1, how much do you know about The Mole? And question 2, how confident are you out of 100?
Have you had a good week?
I have had a good week. The sunburn is finally peeling, so that's nice.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And the snow is finally thawing here. It's about 3 degrees Celsius at the moment. A few days ago, it was about -8.
Oh, wow.
So we're getting there finally.
We've gone from 38 down to, I think it's 14 at the moment.
Ah, that's quite pleasant.
Yeah.
I mean, as you saw when I sent you that picture earlier, I'm still wearing shorts even though it's January. And what that picture was, I'm not going to say because I'm stopping Fuzzy getting any bingo squares.
Yeah.
So previously, 9 new celebrities and Peter Yan's Nepo baby flew to Cambodia and were blessed before being duped by a fake challenge. Once they'd assigned each other characteristics and were faked out again by a day 1 test, they found out that the mole had only just been chosen. When grabbing supplies for a party on the Mekong, they were all a bit deflated as only 3 of the 10 items succeeded, but that was enough to begin their pot. And we begin the episode with yet another briefing of the mole.
I think it's the same briefing, Michael.
Yeah, it's the second half of the briefing, but I did have a complaint or two from certain members of the Welsh community for making the mole's voice Welsh, and I said it was the most suspicious of all the accents.
That makes sense.
So Rick said,
We will make sure you are prepared down to the last detail. That means we will also speak regularly.
Okay, check.
Maybe your most important assignment. Try not to stand out.
Okay.
Make sure your actions are inconspicuous, and if they are noticeable, that you have the right motive.
I'm looking forward to it.
The best part for everyone who's listening is I just had to hear Michael do that in a Welsh accent.
yeah, you did. But
Yeah.
And as a result of the briefing of the mole, the episode title is The Right Motive.
Mm.
And it is day 3 in Phnom Penh, and they all cheers at breakfast to surviving episode 1 before being interrupted by a waitress giving them 3 phones with video of Rick explaining that they will be visiting 6 sites in the city in groups of 3, and again the instructions are on the back of tuk-tuks. At each location they must take a panoramic photo, acting out a word with their bodies in the photo, and each photo with the word can earn money up to €1,500 in total. There's also a €500 bonus to be earned by reaching Rick within 45 minutes and spelling out Phnom Penh with all 10 of them there. I did see someone comment that they had never worked out how to take a panoramic photo on their own phones.
Like, admittedly, like, I've never done it, but I know how. Like, it's not that hard.
No, like, I don't take panoramic photos very often. I think my favourite one probably is when I was at Masada. I took a photo from the viewpoint where the pit stop was. But yeah, I don't take panoramic photos that often, but there is a certain logic that they seem to have been missing.
Yeah. It was a really fun challenge, though.
Oh, definitely. And it's an excuse to make them do stupid shit around Cambodia, which we always appreciate.
I mean, excuse for stupid shit, fun challenge, probably a product placement for the phones, I would guess.
Well, they were iPhones, I think. There was no specific placement of an iPhone. You could tell it was an iPhone because of the camera on the back.
Yeah.
But I seem to remember it was generic Android phones, certainly in South Africa, maybe in Mexico as well. So maybe the budget's just gone up a bit and they've gone, let's just spaff some money at an iPhone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Cambodia is cheap, so they've probably got a little bit of spare money left over.
Yeah. And I mean, we did see that they were keeping the phones on them later on, so
yeah,
presumably these phones are going to keep coming back.
It's the sort of challenge this specific version really needs to do more of. I feel like this was like achievable and understandable, but not like total bullshit, like a lot of last season's challenges were.
Yeah, and we've discussed before how awkward some of the interacting with locals challenges are.
Yeah.
I mean, I always think that to Diedrich in Oregon when I talk about these challenges going, why would I ever want to talk to locals? It's just awkward. This is not necessarily an interacting with locals challenge. It's a doing stuff and maybe getting in their way a bit challenge, but it's less awkward for everyone involved because they're not having to try and force other people to do things.
Yeah.
Everyone's in on the joke.
Yeah.
So Sam, Sophie and Rose form a group quickly, despite Micah's best efforts. Micah, Ray and Bridget are another, and then Nora, Teun and Stein form a group, and Gabrielle joins Sam, Sophie and Rose.
I did like Micah trying to get in with Sam, and then, them basically being like, oh no, we've already agreed on it based on the time-honored strategy of we were already sitting next to each other, so fuck you.
Yeah, and then Gabrielle just gets to join them anyway.
Yeah.
Like, he's left out. No one talks about him joining a group. He just kind of randomly joins their group. And it's like, maybe if you were going to be a 4 anyway, you could have let Micah do it, but it's funnier that you didn't.
Yeah. It's, like, especially funny because Gabriel is pretty much invisible this entire episode, even though he's in, like, the control position in the next challenge.
Yeah, and it's especially funny because it now means that we get a group of old people trying to work technology.
The best.
Also, out of interest, did you look at who the Netherlands suspects were last week?
I did, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Because I noted them down right before the second episode aired, because I realised, again, that I hadn't actually noted it down.
Yep.
Roos was by far and away the most suspected last week.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was Roos with 18%, Ray with 13%, Sophie with 11%, then Sam and Teun on 10%, Micah on 9%, Bridget, Nora, and Stein on 8%, and Gabrielle on 5%.
That's odd, because, like, this week I can kind of get it, because Rose did a lot of suspicious shit this week. But last week, when you only had the one challenge, and pretty much her contribution was eating a spider really fast, I don't know that she did that much to sabotage, so I can't work out why they would have suspected her last week.
Yeah, compared to this week, which is Rose on 24%,
Yeah.
and then Ray on 14%, Bridget 13%, Sam and Sophie 11%, Gabrielle, Micah, and Nora on 7%, and then Stein on 6%. That's a big old jump from Rose, even with Teun's 10% being reallocated.
Yeah.
So Gabrielle, Rose, Sam, and Sophie find their first card at Wat Phnom, and they find that there are 3 potential words, each with a different value. The word down is worth €50, stupid is 100, and hill is 250. Micah, Bridget, and Ray arrive at the National Museum of Cambodia, and their 3 words are land, art, and welcome, and they only get the money if the others guess the word that they're spelling in the WhatsApp group. Also love that they're continuing their tradition of not deliberately mentioning that it's WhatsApp, but it's blatantly obvious from the graphics it is.
Yeah.
Also of interest, this challenge didn't take place till about 3 p.m.
That's odd.
The first photo was sent about 20 past 3, I think. I think it was 3:17.
Wow.
So I don't know what they were doing in the morning, whether it was an unaired challenge or something.
I don't know, because day 2 would have been the party.
Yeah, day 2 was the party. This episode started with breakfast on day 3.
Yeah.
And then they didn't actually do anything that we saw until gone 3 p.m. Yeah. Maybe it was shifted a little bit because they were doing the night challenge, but I mean, the night challenge was 45 minutes after dark, which in May, June time was probably 9 p.m. It's still not that late.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is maybe they wanted to avoid crowds somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know, but it seemed very odd to me, unless the phone times are wrong, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3:17, I think, was the first photo sending.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem odd, but then you realise the last challenge in this episode doesn't start until 10:30 in the morning for, something that's they're supposedly, being held in the jail overnight for.
Yeah, bullshit on that. We'll get to that. There's no way they stuck him in the vault for 12 hours or whatever.
No. I mean, if for no other reason that they would have smashed open those crates by 6 a.m.
Yeah, of course they would. They would have dropped them on the corner.
Yeah.
So Nora, Teun, and Stein decide to spell the word temple. Sam struggles to take the photo, but realises that the trick is him not moving, but rotating on the spot. 2 groups send their first photos, and both are guessed correctly for a total of €350. And then Nora says that Bridget's team are all old and might struggle with technology, and they finally send the word land, but it's illegible. God, that team were messy. Without revealing any suspects from you this week, how do you think the mole would have played this challenge?
Considering the mole probably didn't get that much of a briefing on it, I think they probably, did the sort of things a normal person would think to do if they were the mole. Like, say yes to dumb ideas, try and get a hold of the camera and then just fuck up the photos, or, deliberately walk the wrong way in the photo or something like that. Like, really small, obvious things. I can't think of any, really, I guess, interesting sort of sabotages that would have come from this challenge.
Yeah, certainly the impression we're getting is that the mole's tactic this episode was to hide in plain sight.
Yeah.
Because it's all about what the right motive is and making sure you've got an excuse if you do fuck up and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's interesting to look at who fucks up in this episode, but kind of gets it explained away in the edit.
Yeah.
Because I think that actually probably provides a little more clarity than we had last week. Because last week we were very much all at sea. I mean, I'll get to the suspicions at the end of the episode, but First Suspicions was quite disparate this season, shall we say. Not many people were that confident.
Did we get all 10 this season?
That is a very good question that I did actually forget to look at. Teun definitely had some because we were talking about that before the episode.
Yeah.
Ray was the only person who didn't.
Oh.
He got a couple of 2s, but he got no 1s.
That's interesting because in a couple of the Discord discussions, people are saying Ray would be an interesting mole this year.
Yeah, and he's second on the Dutch suspicions. Also of interest, the one person to pick Gabrielle as their number one suspect was Logan Saunders.
Well, that was dumb.
Yep, and not to spoil the first suspicions debrief too much, but the bottom two people are both in Logan's team. Stein is literally the only person holding Logan's team up at the moment.
You can't see me grinning as, like, I've got like a grin as big as those security guards at the moment. Just hearing that Logan sucked again.
We love it when this happens, especially when he's not here to defend himself.
Yeah.
And sort of prevaricate in a Canadian accent. But yeah, Michelle took his title this season of having the first loss on her team for the first time since China. But yeah, I mean, Logan's team sucks, and if there's any justice in the world, Logan will be first out.
If Logan's team was any worse, he'd be picking Babs again.
Yeah, or her evil twin Sabab. Which again, I'd completely forgotten about until I was looking at the notes from last year's premiere and then making myself laugh all over again. So as I said, they did this challenge super late. The first photos were actually sent at 3:07 p.m. according to the screen.
Huh.
And at the Mekong River, Nora, Stein and Teun decided to spell Mekong for €250, and the group of four spelled Palace and then another 250. Micah takes over the photography from Bridget while they spell high, and things actually go well, but it's still not guessed correctly. The group of four find Rick at the Royal Palace, followed by Stein, Teun and Nora, and they argue as to whether the word Phnom has an H in it. Again, must point out, the guy who was saying it didn't was the only one who'd bought a Lonely Planet guidebook. Don't want to mock you too much, Teun, but, you know, you were, in theory, the most well-prepared person of the 10, especially as we know the mole didn't know they were the mole at that point.
Like, I don't want to say this is a dumb cast, but this is a dumb cast.
Yeah, I know that Cambodian is maybe, or Khmer is not maybe a very intelligible, mutually intelligible language with English or with Dutch or anything, but you'd have thought that probably at their very nice hotel in Phnom Penh, it would be written in English or Dutch for you somewhere. Probably on the nice stationery because it looks like a 5-star hotel.
Yeah. And it's also like not like it's an unknown city like the places they went to in China. Or
yeah, if you'd asked them to spell the city names in China, maybe there would have been a bit more of a challenge there. But you should probably know how to spell Phnom Penh if you're in Phnom Penh after 3 days.
Yeah.
So with 2.5 minutes left, the final tuk-tuk appears and Teun takes control. And Rick, allegedly, takes the photo. There's a bit of a discussion as to whether it was him or the cameraman who actually took it, and confirms that 3 words were guessed correctly, as well as the bonus. That gives them a total of 1,100 of 2,000 for the challenge.
Fun challenge.
Very fun challenge. Arguably not as fun as the next one.
No.
Because, spoilers, I loved the next challenge. It's probably my favourite challenge that Vidum have done in seasons. Maybe excluding Oman, obviously, because Oman's a different kettle of fish. But yeah, this is the best mainline Vidum challenge in years.
Yeah, like I wasn't as hot on Oman as you were, but these first 2 challenges especially, well, both of them, I think this is probably the best pair of challenges we've had back-to-back since the last episode of Albania.
Yeah, the thing about Oman, without obviously getting into it too much because we're not covering it at the moment, is it felt like a breath of fresh air. It felt like they had a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
They were using the location really well. It felt like they were trying again.
Yeah.
Which won them a lot of points. And there's some genuinely very funny, creative nonsense in there.
Yes, there is.
Which, you know, compared to certain Rick era Vidum seasons, I mean, I didn't hate Mexico. Obviously, certain twists were bullshit in Mexico, but I didn't hate it. It was solidly entertaining, at least for most of the time, mainly because of all the drunk old people.
Yeah, I think Mexico is a season that pretty much survived basically because they managed to cast like an entire cast full of First Boots and then Fonz and Anna.
It was entirely saved by the casting, I think, and I really like the Day of the Mole generally. I thought that was a great way to open the season.
Yeah.
But this season's already far better, and Oman was far better.
Yeah. I think if next week is as good as these first 2 weeks, this will be the best season since Georgia, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Oman's kind of got the title by default. Mexico kind of got the title by default. But this one genuinely could be a contender for the best season since Georgia in terms of video released.
Yeah.
So he also leaves them with an announcement that he will see them later, and he wishes the mole a lot of luck with the heist. Quick question, do you think this is going to replace the laser game?
I don't think so. I think this was a very cool sort of one-off idea, but I don't know how repeatable it is.
Yeah, because I don't know whether they can really get away with 2 late-night James Bond, Tom Cruise style missions. I think there's a non-zero chance that this does replace the laser game this season.
Oh yeah, I thought you meant just in general.
No, I meant this season.
I think they might maybe do one at like Final 4, Final 5, because like they've done that a couple of times the last few seasons. Like they did that in South Africa. They had one at like Final 4. They did the one in China with the you're fighting against the mole. That was very late in the season. I think I'm not opposed to them doing the laser game a little bit later in the season to make it feel a little bit more earned than the last few seasons when they're, we've had all the confessionals about, we made it to the laser game, and then you're like, it's episode 2, sit down, Janice.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of saying, I made it to the Merge on Survivor, I'm dateable. It's like, yeah, but the Merge on Survivor is like day 9 now. That's not an achievement.
No.
You've been outside for a week.
Yeah. I've had benders that lasted longer than the pre-merge.
And I'm not touching that one with a barge pole. So they're all dressed in black for the evening, and we actually see the mole money. And big tick for the season, it's quite pretty mole money.
Yeah.
It's not the god-awful kid design shit that we've had in previous seasons.
I love how that's still something you hate every single season.
Yeah, I realise I sound like such a curmudgeon whenever I say those things, but there are ways to include the fans in the season, and getting kids to design the mole money should not be one of them.
No.
It's a souvenir for the season that they give away at the finale, and you should actually want it rather than being forced to take it.
Yeah.
This is genuinely actually quite aesthetically pleasing mole money. And arguably, Oman again was very aesthetically pleasing mole money. The new showrunner knows what he's doing. He's obviously been listening to our podcast. I'm going to say it now, maybe he's pandering to us a little bit.
Yeah. So I just love the idea that they've given somebody the old mole money, and then like, what do you do with it? And like, I stuck it on my fridge, and then this lady's kids are like, why haven't you got our portraits on there? You've stuck on this thing for some random kid and shaving it on.
Yeah, that's the thing. They do have quizzes and stuff where they give away full sets of the mole money, and in fact I think they did for Mexico too, because I think Liam may have won some. But if it's nice mole money, then yeah, absolutely, they should be giving it away. If it's the horrible China Renaissance one, I can't remember which one was the worst one. I think it may have been Renaissance.
China was the kid design one, or the viewer contest one. Some of them weren't kids, but who cares? Renaissance was the old moles.
Ah, yes, of course it was. Yeah, if you gave me a set of the China notes, I would have to think twice about taking them off your hands because they're disgusting and you wouldn't want to display them in your home.
Yeah, I think I saw an image of all 10 of the notes they used that season. I think I liked maybe 2 of them.
Yeah, there was one that was all of the locations that they'd been on a world map, and it was kind of black and green, and it looked really cool.
Yeah.
There was also the ones that were obviously really hand-drawn by 2-year-old children. Not so cool. And I do realise that this is a rant that I do every single season at this point, because they should never have done it.
And to be fair, Rick was trying very hard when he designed that money.
Very true. But yeah, this is nice mole money from what we've seen so far. It all seems to be quite uniform and not kid designed.
Oh, good.
Which is pretty much all I can ask for at this point.
Yeah.
And Rose does also have the phone hanging off a lanyard.
I did really, really like the atmosphere sort of set up for this challenge, where it's like they managed to make it look like a dystopian sci-fi film.
Yeah, and also it's little things like having the rain come down when the buses or the truck's going, obviously, but then having Rick stand out in the rain and do his piece to camera from near the market and introduce it. As much as we obviously joke about Rick being very distant, he's not very distant in this season. No. He's already, in these 2 episodes, had a lot to do, and it's making him a better host.
Yeah.
He's not going to be Art, Peter Yan level,
No.
but he's solidly better than he has been already. Probably because he's got better direction, obviously, but there's certain things that they're making Rick do already that are a lot better than in previous Rick era seasons.
Yeah. I kind of feel like they haven't really known what to do with Rick the last few years because of, well, firstly, because they weren't sure how much he could handle, and secondly, because like they were trying to keep him a little bit distant during the COVID seasons.
Yeah. I know I've said it before, but Rick is a lot better on the reunions than he is in the pre-recorded stuff.
Yeah.
And he's bringing a lot of the reunion energy and being a bit snarkier and being actually a lot more present in these episodes.
Yeah. Good work, Rick.
Yeah. We joke about Rick's abilities a lot on this podcast. I do like to point out when actually we like stuff that they're making Rick do.
Yeah.
We're not complete arseholes about these things. We're just sort of 70-80% arsehole.
Yeah. We promised to make slightly fewer jokes about you fucking all the contestants.
Oh, I didn't promise that. So they're on the way to the central market and must break in and steal things up to 3,000 euros of items for the pot. 8 candidates will steal 1 item each, and the other 2, Ray and Gabrielle, have the instructions. However, the people in the market must remain uncaught by the guards. To make things a little more complicated, some of the items have been infected by the mole, and they can only take items that don't have the mole's fingerprints on them, as the mole's fingerprints are worth minus money. They can only be seen in a black light, which is controlled by buttons hidden around the market. Now, if Logan was here, obviously I would make copious amounts of jokes about him needing a black light in his room and it just glowing entirely white, but I'm not going to do that because he's not here.
That's all right. At least that's exactly the same reason Rick has the blacklight torch.
That is very true. It was from his own collection. He would not want to see how many fingerprints are in Logan's room.
No.
So they can only enter in groups of at most 3, and it is Sophie, Teun, and Bridget who are first to enter. And they've got 45 minutes total to get in, get out, and have no survivors, to quote Ray.
There is one sort of very, like, sneakily very, very funny line in the start of this challenge where, like, Nora gives us a confessional basically saying, Ray's got 100 years of experience doing this.
Yeah, as much as I think that Nora probably isn't very long for this game, she's giving very good, bitchy confessionals about everyone. Mainly about how old people are.
This entire cast is very bitchy, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, this is our sort of cast, I think.
Yeah.
But Nora especially just seems to have her own little brand of being a confessional and bitching about all of the old people in this cast.
Yeah.
Because she was also the one who said that the old people couldn't work their phones.
Yeah. Like, somehow one of the least bitchy people in this cast is the lady who hosted The Weakest Link.
Yeah. And, like, as much as Sam has big golden retriever energy, he's willing to stand up for himself, shall we say. Certainly in the third challenge.
Yeah.
They also have no idea how many guards there are or what they look like, so Teun is nervous. And obviously, Ray implements full etherdiscipline, according to Sophie. Gabrielle has a map and, more importantly, a live feed of what's happening, so he is the only person who probably saw the mole at work in this challenge.
He doesn't get, like, all of the cameras, though. I think that, like, they made a point at one point of him saying he didn't know that, I think it was Sam who got captured, but, like, he wasn't on the camera when it happened. So I think that's why they had a real tough time trying to work out whether Sam had been captured, what happened, any of that sort of stuff.
I think it is fairly likely the mole did do some sort of live sabotage in this challenge.
Yeah.
Whether that is maybe adding an extra fingerprint or something.
That would be an interesting sabotage.
That would be what I would do, I think, is the mole would have known, presumably, which of the items are actually worth money. I think if the mole was left unattended at a stall where they were waiting for a black light to come on and not on the cameras, and they knew that, I think there is a pretty big chance that maybe the mole added a thumbprint.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'd make them do if I were the production team.
Did anyone touch the items and then not get back to the van with it?
I can't remember.
Because I'm pretty sure they all got, like, all the people who got captured, either got captured near the buttons, like Sam.
Roos was definitely at a stall.
Yeah, like Rose was at the store, but she hadn't touched the items, I don't think.
That we saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. This is the sort of sabotage that I think they would put in a montage at the end, is the mole finding a way to put a
Yeah.
fingerprint on. Or it'll be something like all of the fingerprinted items were actually touched by the mole, so it's their real fingerprint, or it'll be something like that.
Yeah, like I was just sort of thinking, well, if you've doing that, you've probably already got your paint on your, like the blacklight paint or whatever, on your fingerprint when you go in.
Yeah.
But then, if you're handling the item, you end up with more than just the one fingerprint on it.
Yeah, good point.
So unless they were very, very careful about that, which I don't think any of this cast would have been, to be honest.
I think there'll be some sort of sneaky sabotage like that in this challenge.
Yeah, like this feels like a good mole sabotage challenge.
Yeah, especially with the limited camera angles and everyone being forced to spread out over the market. Like, the mole is going to have done something to properly be able to sabotage. This is the first challenge this season where the mole really can do a lot of damage.
Yeah, like whether it was, the thumbprint or the mole deliberately going off camera and just sort of, making hand signals or something to attract the hunter.
Yeah, because the other element of this is, because it was quite hard for us to follow what items were and weren't sabotaged by the mole,
Yeah.
we don't know actually what the plausible maximum was. We know it was 3,000 euros of items, but we don't know whether it was actually possible for them to get all 3,000 euros here, because that would then obviously lead to the mole touching items and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Or it could have even been the mole swapped something out, made it harder. Yeah. I don't know.
I look forward to finding out, though.
Yeah, put it this way, in 8 weeks, if we find out that the mole did sabotage some of the items or something, I'm going to be quite proud of myself for guessing it.
Yeah. One of us being proud of ourselves at the reunion? What a shock.
I know, it's never me on Belchior, is it? I'm going for 0 for 5 this year. It's going to be hilarious fun. Gilles going to greet me with who am I laughing at again, and it'll be me again.
Yeah.
As always. So Sophie's seen by a garden after many laps. She is caught, and it is Sam who is sent in her place. And he enters saying that he felt like James Bond or Tom Cruise as soon as he walked in. Sam better last all season, because he is by far the most entertaining person in this cast, regardless of who his father is. He is a cut above the rest in terms of entertainment.
Yeah, and this is a fun cast, but Sam is spectacular.
Yeah, Sam is big golden retriever energy, but also a complete dickhead when he needs to be. And him entering like he's in Mission Impossible is just perfect.
Yeah.
It is currently our banner. I mean, there may be an argument over whether I change it to the family photo with Sam in it, but I think it probably will be this as the banner, because it just really tickled me.
I think go with this.
So Bridget grabs the dragon and says it has no fingerprints on it and brings it back. And Nora enters with 27 minutes on the clock. And Ray reminds them that they are all responsible for their own personal safety, and if they get captured, it's their own damn fault. Nora doesn't know what a chalice is and takes the thimble before even seeing if it has a fingerprint on it. And Rose is sent in while Sam goes radio silent because he has been caught. And Stein gets sent in along with Rose.
He is a lot better at whispering than she is.
He tells her off at one point, doesn't he, I think?
Yeah.
Just like, you're being really loud, shut up.
Yeah.
This is the suspect list question. I don't know whether you've done suspect list yet, but the suspect list bonus question this week is, did the mole get captured and put in the vault?
Huh.
And my inclination is maybe yes, because they can control both challenges.
Yeah. Like, the people who don't get captured are basically punished by having to sit out of the next challenge, so I'm assuming the mole got captured somewhere or another, because then not only do you lose money in this challenge, or not gain money, you don't really lose money the way Bridget did, but then you get the next challenge where you get to F up and stop more money getting in, and possibly stop the jokers getting in play as well.
I think the conventional wisdom would be yes.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's as clear-cut with this cast as you'd maybe want it to be.
Yeah.
So Teun takes the opportunity to look for yokers or exemptions, but instead finds cat poop, garbage bags, and old slippers. And her black light turns on, and she spots that the chalice has fingerprints on it, so she can't take it. She gets caught and is swapped out for Micah. The light turns on again, and she runs around so she can't be duped and caught. and she takes the diamond relief and runs back just as Stein does get caught. And Teun runs back with a minute to spare, but no item.
Teun is like really sort of. He's really good with the one-liners as well. Like when he was basically standing there being like, "Oh yeah, I could have read an entire book the whole time I've been waiting here." I'm really going to miss him this now that he's gone.
Yeah, I think Briggs a bit disappointed that he went first.
Yeah. I don't want them to redo last season's twist ever again, but like if there's another Renaissance or whatever, he would be a good choice.
Thinking about it, there must have been some very expensive items that they missed, because it's 8 people. They were only allowed to take 1 item each, and it's $3,000 total. That's a fair whack, isn't it? That's €375 an item that they should have picked up on average. And we only saw the only 2 good items we saw were €250 and $350.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of money left in that market in the 6 remaining items.
I'm assuming there were probably like 3 or 4 stalls, but we only saw 2 of them because that's where they just kept going to.
I think the other thing that wasn't explained properly was the fact that I think they needed 2 people to push the buttons for the black light.
Yeah, I my understanding was like you had to push both buttons simultaneously for the light to turn on.
Yeah. But I don't think that was ever explained, because that explains why they had to have 3 people in there.
Yeah.
But the logic should have actually been, you turn the black light on, you relay what items on that stall are not infected, and then you don't turn it on again.
Yeah.
Because presumably that would also attract attention of the guards. But again, that's a strategy thing that Ray and Gabrielle did not relay, amongst other things, including the fact that anything infected costs them money.
It's not like they didn't have plenty of time to tell them that sort of thing when Ray would not shut up for the entire hour.
I am quite impressed that they did this entire mission only mentioning etherdiscipline once. I don't know whether it's because the last season we did was Dominican Republic, where it was a drinking game.
Yeah.
But they only mentioned it once, and it was Sophie joking about Ray implementing full etherdiscipline.
Yeah. It kind of felt like they basically stuck it in as a confessional after the fact to be like, yes, here's the line, now shut up, we're moving on, this is a new era.
Let's say the line, Ray.
Yeah, basically.
So Rick meets them and shines his personal black light at them. Nora's cup earns €250, Micah's plate earns $350, and Bridget's blind guess of the dragon has a mole print on the bottom, meaning minus €750, for a total of minus $150 of $3,000 for the challenge. And Micah does say that Ray did not communicate that a wrong item cost them money. He also says that he will release those who were caught from a vault at 11 a.m, and they may be able to smuggle money or other things out if they are lucky.
Rick was really bitchy, being like, because Ray's such an expert, you ended up losing €150.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, you give Rick stuff to do, he gets a bit more ingratiated with the group, he's more comfortable with them, he's a lot more playful with them. It's not at the level of a Petey and Dick moment, but he's certainly a lot bitchier than he has been.
Yeah. It was kind of like a little bit like this last year, but he didn't really get to interact with them as much last year, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, with last year, there was stuff like him hiding in the Day of the Mole as well.
Yeah.
Like, that never really got that publicly talked about, was the fact that Rick actually was in the crowd of Day of the Mole and all that sort of stuff. But he ingratiates himself into this sort of stuff, but he does seem to be a lot more in the show this season already, which is nice. And maybe it's a side effect of Healy doing a lot of that stuff in Oman.
Yeah.
Because Healy was very present for a lot of the Oman challenges.
Oh, Healy was great.
I'm not sure we're going to see him driving a getaway car, but
no,
he's getting up there.
Yeah, like I feel like the first season with Rick, he was sort of settling in, and then you ended up in China where he couldn't really do anything because China. And then we had, like a whole bunch of like 3 or 4 COVID seasons in a row. And then last year where kind of could do stuff, but not really. So I think this is the first season where he's really had a chance to be a good host, and it's working.
Yeah, no complaints so far for Rick's part of this season, which is not something we have been able to say the past few years.
No.
So the other 4 are taken to a vault at the Palais de la Poste with 5 chests. They have valuable contents, and if they escape the vault before 11 a.m, they can take the contents of the vault with them. And they've got 30 minutes until that. This is essentially just mini games and trying to mess with each other.
Yeah.
We got a tip off of the cocktail game, at least in the B-roll.
Yeah. I kind of feel like these challenges were not hard.
No, oh god, no, they were really easy. I mean, one of them was open the gramophone.
Yeah.
You know that random gramophone that we put in the vault? Yeah, maybe it's got something in it.
Like, these were Crystal Maze level hard challenges. They did not need half an hour for this.
No, they were a 2-minute mental game.
Yeah. And the hardest one was probably the cocktails, where, like, you kind of, if you didn't know this, like, the specific drinks referenced in those films or whatever, then it would be hard, but otherwise, everything here was a complete doddle.
Yeah, I mean, James Bond, you should know, especially when Sam makes a reference to it earlier in the episode. I didn't know the Big Lebowski off the top of my head. I vaguely knew the Sex and the City one was Cosmo, but I wasn't 100% on it.
I think that was like a combination log. So if you know the martini, you guess the cosmopolitan, and then you just try the numbers for the other one. You've basically got a 1 in 3 chance of getting it straight away anyway.
Yeah, this is the thing. When you work out that it's to do with cocktails, and I mean, what else is James Bond really that associated with that they're going to be able to sneak into a former French palace?
Yeah, well, heist in a Cambodian market, apparently.
Well, yeah. But once you work out that it's the cocktails, you've got 5 numbers to work off, and it's going to be 3 of them.
Yeah.
It's not a difficult challenge. They wanted these Yokers to enter the game. They wanted the payoff of you still have a chance at a Yoker. They wanted this money to go into the game. And I think, I'm hoping and crossing everything that they're just not going to be cheap this season and force them to have a pot drain at some point and all that sort of stuff. Because they're doing reasonably well monetarily.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that we've had 2 €3,000 challenges so far, when I don't think we've had any the last couple of seasons.
No, I think we commented on this. I can't remember whether it was Mexico or Dominican Republic. I mean, Dominican Republic was a very cheap season.
Yeah.
But they don't do many challenges that are more than $2,500 now. I think it might have been the big money loss game in Mexico, actually, we commented on this on.
Yeah.
Having a maximum that is above like $2,000 or $2,500 is very rare in Vitamin. We've had 2 where there's 3.
Yeah. It's been kind of refreshing to have it set up so it sounds like they can win like a decent amount of money, but the challenges are just hard enough that it's not likely compared to, a challenge is 1,000, 1,500 euros most of the time. And then, it's pretty, like, the difficulty is basically set up so it's pretty much predetermined which challenges you're going to win and which challenges you're not.
Yeah, and even when they're not winning the full amount, they're winning a decent enough amount that it doesn't feel like all of the American complaints about traitors being too cheap is justified.
Yeah.
There was one comment that I did earlier in the week when someone was going, oh yeah, it's really cheap. I'm like, just look at the Dutch mall prices.
Yeah.
Dominican Republic's maximum was 33,000 euros. If you think $1 million traitors is ever going to happen, just look at the Netherlands.
Yeah. Like, they're still bitching that Netflix mall was only asterisk, $250,000.
Yeah. I did see someone say that Traitors UK is never going to give a life-changing amount of money away, and I'm like, could change my life with 120 grand. I'd be perfectly happy with that. But I'm not going to turn my nose up at that, and I'm someone who, on a British game show, did say that £36,000 was too cheap.
Yeah, and like, it's a game show on the BBC. They're not going to give away £1 million.
No, they're not going to give away 120 either.
Yeah.
So Rose immediately finds the key to get out of the vault in the gramophone. They find the cocktails and the pictures of them with years underneath. Rose finds a key with a beeper, and Sophie presses it after Rose puts it in her pocket. It opens a box, and she finds a Yoker with her name on it and €250. Another box is the year with Teun and Rose added together, and in probably my favourite moment of this challenge, Sam wrestles the year box away and basically does what I did when I did Crystal Maze and tells everyone to shut the fuck up and let me count. Because it's fun that you mention Crystal Maze, because I have done both Manchester and London. I did London with Michelle right before COVID in 2020.
Please tell me she got locked in.
She didn't, despite my best efforts, because I was team captain.
That's a shame.
I did want to try and make her do Alerte Rouge from Fort Leal, because that's one of the games in both of them. Yeah, the first time that I did it with a group of strangers. They were all on the work team bonding thing, and I was just a tag along. And I did 3 mental games. I lost the first 2 of them, and the third one, it was in Aztec, which is my favourite zone anyway, so I really wanted to win the crystal. It was a maths one, and I just turned around to them. They were cheering me on and whatever and trying to help, and I just turned around and went, "Can you just shut the fuck up while I count, please?" And surprisingly, I won that one.
Oh.
Because I didn't have people chunnering in my ears going, "Come on, you can work it out," and just trying to give me advice. It's like, no, shut up. Just let me think.
Did Michelle at least get to do like a medieval challenge inside an oubliette?
Wasn't inside an oubliette, but she did do one in medieval, yes. The fun thing is, I won all 3 of my crystals when I did London, and 2 of them, I somehow managed to pick like the worst possible skills required for me. One of them was music, and I can't read music, and one of them required me to not be as colourblind as I am.
Huh.
So that was a puzzle where I did need my team's help because I couldn't see the red lines on it. Colourblindness is fun, kids.
Yeah. This like I know we've just said the market challenge was probably like it's probably got like a really good mole sabotage in there. This challenge feels like it's got a really good mole clue in there, and there's maybe like 2 or 3 different options.
Yeah, because there's competing theories as to which member of my team is going to be the mole, which is, I mean, delightful for me. We will get into my gloating on the pool already.
Yeah.
But it's delightful for me that I have Micah, Rose, and Sophie, probably the 3 most suspicious people in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Because you said there was a potential clue with the paintings for Micah.
So my feeling is the years are going to be important. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's just like a completely random thing otherwise. And my feeling is, I think one of them was like 1987, which if you add those digits up, you get 25, which feels like the sort of thing that this show would do, especially because like you don't know like ahead of time who the mole is going to be, so you can't really do like personal clues. So you got to do things like we're looking at like season 25, those sort of not directly pointing at the person sort of clues. And I think this one where you can basically shuffle the portraits around to match the photos is probably a good place for a clue. And the one for 1987, which adds up to 25, was Teun and Micah. And well, we know now that it's not Teun.
I think Sam's was 1991 from memory.
Yeah, so that would have been 20.
Yeah, because he said he was born a couple of years before that.
Yeah.
It feels like there's going to be something with those portraits, especially as they were flashed at the start. When we had the B-roll for this challenge, the 2 things that were pointed out were the cocktails and the portraits, with some of the years visible.
Yeah.
So there's something in this challenge. And I realise that I'm already sounding very Belkia Michael, and it's still probably about 9 or 10 weeks away.
Yeah.
There is something in that challenge, and there is something in that market, sabotage-wise. I'm sure of it.
I wonder if the gramophone would have played Lose Yourself, and that would have been a clue to MM Micah Mole.
I maintain that was still a very good clue that they should have used if it was Mikhail.
Yeah.
I know Gilles said, no, we would never do something that stupid, but I maintain that is exactly the sort of stupid that they would do.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the sort of clue that they would have done if it was Mikhail Mons.
Yeah.
And the clue for Rose potentially in this challenge is she does a Netflix mole and holds up her yoker to the camera and says, "Oh, it's a yoker, it's literally got my name on it."
Yeah.
Which I'm hoping isn't a clue, even though she is in my team, because if it is, it's a super dumb clue and it spoils who the mole is in episode 2.
I would be disappointed if it's Rose as the mole.
I wouldn't, because I win again, but...
Yeah, well, I mean, aside from that, like, I think she would be a good mole, but I feel like, especially this challenge, she was sort of almost, like, too good at the game. Like, it sort of felt like the sort of thing where if she's the mole, it's like, oh, the mole knew all the answers, and then she's trying to basically force them into getting the money for something. Like, maybe there's a plot drain later. Because she, basically went straight for the gramophone. She went straight for her key. Even though she tried, slowing them down with the, like, not realizing the beeper. She went straight for the key. She managed to get the key that unlocked her chest. And then she basically did nothing the rest of the challenge.
It was all a bit too obvious from Rose.
Yeah.
Which I mean, could be a double bluff from them, because obviously this episode may or may not be all about being hidden in plain sight and pretending to be a team member and explaining away your bullshit. But it was all just a bit too obvious.
Yeah. And, like, to be fair, we don't know if the stuff with the key was, 5 minutes into the challenge, 15 minutes into the challenge, whatever.
Yeah.
But it felt, a little bit convenient that she got it that quickly.
I have always said that if Mole UK came back and I was on it, and I was the mole, which would obviously be the aim, because, why would I ever want to be a contestant when you can be the mole? I've always said that basically my tactic, and what I would say to production would be, I don't want to know anything I don't need to. Let me play like a player. Give me information if I need it, and if it's a major sabotage that needs doing, but don't give me too much information, because I want to be as authentic as I possibly can be. If I'm going to be a really good mole, I want to be as authentic as I can be. And if Rose had said something like that to production as a mole, she went a little bit too far into the I'm going to help drag you through this challenge mode, which you don't necessarily want as a mole. It could just be that she is big into escape rooms and all that sort of stuff and enjoys this sort of shit and tearing the room apart and all that sort of stuff. And it is just how she is authentically.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit too obvious if she is the mole. Because it's not like she was too obvious and playing fanatically and playing like a player. She was very fanatic, but she also deliberately stopped them earning the 500 euros at the end under the cover of, we don't need any more Yokers entering the game.
Yeah.
But the other element of that is you could do what Sam did and go, yeah, we've got the Yokers. We're not giving you them.
Yeah.
They're staying with us. You can't take them off us. You may own them, but they're not in your possession.
How do you think the gramophone challenge was supposed to work?
I think they had to work out how to play it, and it played a song or something, because we know there was some sort of lock that was a word lock as well, and I presume it was that box.
Yeah, my assumption was you played the gramophone downstairs, and that controlled the music upstairs.
It did sound like there was a link.
Yeah, like I think we got a shot at one point of people upstairs wondering where the music was coming from.
It was Stein and Rose when they were fucking around with the napkins, I think.
Yeah, like I'm assuming that was from the gramophone. So my theory is you get it to play downstairs, it actually, like, you hear it upstairs, and then somebody upstairs has to either work out the song or work out the artist or whatever, and then use that as the word for the lock.
Yeah. It could have been like the Belkia Fat versus Fit challenge, where one of the Fit challenges is they had to work out what the missing word was from Billie Eilish's Bad Guy, which was guy.
Yeah.
So it could be something like that. But yeah, it definitely sounded like they were playing the gramophone downstairs and it was actually playing upstairs.
At least they didn't have to spell Phnom on the lock.
Our Teun would have been absolutely buggered then.
Unless the gramophone was playing Padam Padam, and then somebody just be like...
Phnom.
This is so much more fun without Logan.
And less random Canadian interruptions.
Yeah. We talk about Colin Logan, and Logan's just like, the lady from Biodome?
Isn't she still on Neighbours, eh?
Yeah.
Isn't she still doing the locomotion?
Locomotion hasn't reached Vernon yet.
I can confirm that trains have not reached the Okanagan yet. They're too dangerous. The locals tried to set fire to them. So Sam, as I said, calculates the yearbox and gives Micah a yoker and another 250 euros. And him and Sophie wrestle for the yoker because that is always good optics on television.
Yep.
And then upstairs, as we said, Rose proposes to Stein that they stop opening boxes so no one else gets yokers. And she hides a red napkin and then tries her level best to stop anyone else finding it in the curtain. It's all too obvious.
Yeah, when she proposed, like, firstly, the curtain wouldn't be the first thing I would think of as a suspicious place. So I'm assuming maybe, like, she had time to think of that. But also, like, when she proposes, basically just getting the answer wrong to Stein just sort of, like, pauses for a second, like his screen's frozen. And I don't know whether it's, like, either, like, he's sort of working out that she might be the mole, and that's good, or he's just that dumb. And I don't know which one it is yet.
I think he's probably looking at her as if to go, what the fuck are you really trying to sabotage with me right now? if they genuinely have spent time in the vault, and I don't think they did spend the night in the vault for what it's worth, I
No.
think they were probably just put in a separate hotel, probably where the crew are staying.
Yeah.
If they'd spent the night in the vault, he's sleep deprived or whatever, and then he's having someone who he's spent a few days with at this point going, oh, come on, let's sabotage, let's have a little fun with this. We don't need to give anyone else an advantage. It's like, well, you do. Well, you don't need to give the people the advantage because they don't have physical possession of that yoke. You can stop them having it, despite the fact that, it's officially theirs. Like, Sam will test the limit of how long he can hold on to Micah's yoke, I suspect. But you don't need to give people the advantage. You can just take the money. So he's going, what the fuck are you actually trying to do this? And are you trying to pull this stunt and get a boncher with me or whatever? And we can sneak around and have a shared secret. But it's all too obvious. If it is her, then it's just all far too obvious right now.
Yeah, like, it's Euro level obvious if it's her.
And I think I probably have enough faith in the new showrunner to go, yeah, we want people to find this at the end, but we don't want to make it too obvious. We still want to have the potential to dupe a poor, naive Englishman when he comes to the finale every year.
It was a bit weird that, like, the people who did well in the market weren't involved in this challenge at all. Like, I kind of wonder if it would have been better if, like, you get to the end of the challenge and then they got told, okay, 3 people have won their jokers. If you pick which 3 people it is, they lose the joker again, like they did last week.
It needed a comeuppance.
Yeah, it needed some sort of, like, second tier. Like, this, it's a nice challenge, but it's half a challenge.
Yeah. It also is quite fun that it ties into the previous challenge.
Yeah.
Because if you think to all the laser games that they've done in the past, there are really no consequences on the whole for getting caught in a laser game and being shot or escorted away. Now there are. Now people are going to start potentially thinking twice about volunteering to be a first person in a laser game or whatever, because there may be consequences. The other thing I will say is if there was a clue in that challenge, it's a little bit unfair to the people who did well in the market, because they will never see it. That's the only thing that I have in the back of my mind about maybe they didn't put a clue in that challenge, because it just feels a little bit mean if they did and no one else gets to see it.
Yeah.
They don't tend to hide clues in places that not everyone can see it, because it's inherently unfair.
Unless it's a monastery.
Yeah, but everyone had the opportunity to go in the monastery. It's just maybe not everyone explored in the correct way, shall we say, Ellie Loost. So the time runs out with 3 of the boxes open and the group reunited, earning them €750 of 1,250 for the challenge, 2,300 of 6,250 for the episode, and 2,600 of 9,250 euros for the season so far. He also warns them to prepare for test and execution, and they decide to withhold Micah's yoker, but give her the slip out of the box anyway, just to, brag a little bit. So it's now time for the test. 20 questions about the identity and actions of the mole, who have no sleeves goes home except for the mole who can never go home. Roos and Stein have a yoker each, and Sam has Micah's yoker, which she's not allowed to have. And the test takes place back at Wat Phnom, which Teun could not spell.
Yeah.
Teun panics a little because his suspicion has changed. He says Ray was the only one who knew with Gabriel that the cursed item would take money, and neither of them said anything. Bridget gets down to business. She's excited, but mainly to sort the wheat from the chaff, and she is spreading on 6 or 7 people.
What the fuck? We both had the same reaction when that happened.
I usually rattle through these suspicions in the test segment, but
Yeah.
for the love of God, Bridget, what the fuck are you playing at?
Yeah. The only way she survived this is because there's so many people that she was basically guaranteed to get a couple of correct answers.
The only way she must have survived it is if her 6 or 7 people that she was spreading on were not Ray and Gabriel.
Yeah.
And therefore, Teun was more wrong than she was. Like, I know we have these hard and fast rules about how many people you should be suspecting at each point of the season, but we're still only on 3 when there are 10 people.
Yeah.
Like, get your shit together.
Mm.
Anyway, Ray says that Bridget lost them the most money, the dragon wasn't examined properly, she didn't check it at all, and that makes her suspicious. I will say on that point, assuming Bridget's not the mole, that fingerprint was hidden pretty well. It was on the bottom.
Yeah.
It was underneath the dragon when she picked it up, so it wasn't actually facing the black light like the rest of them were. So it's...
No.
I can kind of understand why she missed it, even if she was very impulsive picking the dragon up.
Yeah.
Gabrielle suspects Teun. He was placed in the back streets in the market and outside of the camera range. He has told himself to spread, though, because he wouldn't be the first person to not spread and be sent home first. Sam says he's confident because he's seen suspicious things and kept being in the right place this episode. Nora says the game forces you to consider what a mole would do, but if the mole is calculated, they'd do exactly what you wouldn't expect, so basically she knows nothing.
I thought it's interesting that she's doing this is too obvious, so that person must be the mole kind of strategy, which, I mean, in a normal situation, I would be a lot less forgiving of that than I am, but knowing that Elizabeth in Vietnam did that a couple of times as well, and knowing that the other Dutch mole, who Logan hasn't seen from the other season where they didn't have a mole, where they picked the mole on location, was very much that kind of mole as well. I kind of see where she's coming from with that.
Yeah. It's a lot more understandable in this season than in pretty much any other season.
Yeah.
I still, spoilers for the end of the episode, I think Nora's probably going next week, but...
Yep.
Micah says she has to think carefully about what everyone was wearing, who did what, and then spread and hope she survives. Stein says that Rose tried really hard to stop everyone else earning yokers and seems nice and sweet, but it was all very suspicious and he does play his yoker. Rose is spreading. Sometimes she can be a bit calculated and she's using her yoker to try and ensure she survives. And Sophie is pissed to know that there was a chance of a yoker and she didn't unlock hers, but she also wants to know whether she's right already. Rick says that they chose their own mole, but who took the task on? That is brave and tough. Maybe one of them has an idea that someone's been behaving differently since evening one, like he's on the traitors. To win, you must see through the lies and deceit, who speaks the truth and who doesn't. Has the mole got away with it, or are they playing with fire?
I have a question about this execution.
Yeah.
Why the hell did Bridget come dressed as Joanna Lumley?
She really did. Maybe that's just how old women dress, Bindles.
Can Joanna Lumley bleat?
National treasure Dame Joanna Lumley's in her 80s, I want to say? 70s, 80s? She can definitely bleat.
Yeah.
Rose, Stein, Sam, Sophie, and Micah all get green screens before Teun is the first to go home. And they are in shock. He has a great memory. And now he doesn't have a great memory of his time in Cambodia for 4 days.
Yeah. I know we criticize these people a lot for pretending to be shocked about eliminations on this show, but it does seem kind of fair in this situation because, let's be honest, Teun is really not like the usual sort of first boot idiots like Babs.
No. And the other element of this is the first execution and it's day 4.
Yeah.
They have had a lot of time together, especially comparatively.
Yeah. This show usually loves casting a bunch of really obvious early boots to ensure people like Nikki and Art and Rick make it deep into the season. But this is the first time in quite a long time that it feels like somebody they were trying to keep deep into the season went home first.
Yeah, he is definitely not in that cannon fodder group we were talking about last week.
Yeah.
He was someone who we both thought would probably make a decent run at this just from his vibe on the pre-union. So it was a big shock.
Yeah. Didn't you think he was going to be final 3 based on the pre-union because of that thing you noticed?
I thought there was a chance of him making a really deep run and potentially getting to final 3, because of the question that he was asked by Rick when he was created.
Yeah.
Because it was the same one as Micah's.
Hmm.
Which again is a link between them from that portrait, thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's just come to me now. Is the fact that they were the ones who were asked that question and they are the ones in the 1987 portrait.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, he was not a typical cannon fodder boot. And the way that I do the screen reveals when I'm doing my notes and stuff is I don't do notes during the screen reveals because I don't want to look at the runtime.
Yeah.
So I full screen it, I hide, I close my eyes until the time has disappeared and everything. So I genuinely get reactions and I'm like, Rose on my team, great, she gets green screen. Not surprised by that because she's a strong suspect this week. Stein would have been funny to go home first because that really tanks Saunders. Then Sam, really happy about that. The music starts building. I'm going, who's he going to type next? Oh, fuck, it's Sophie. Crap. Am I going to lose a second suspect here and have egg on my face? No. Then it's Micah, and I'm like, oh, Christ. I know what's going to happen here. I've been gloating for years that Logan always loses the first person. Is my first suspicion going to go home? And then she gets a green screen. I'm like, oh, thank fuck, my team's safe. That's all that matters. And then it's Teun, and I'm like, I don't want to lose Teun, but also it's really funny for Michelle. And then he goes. So I was sort of happy and sad in equal measures, I'll be honest.
In his like little exit interview with Rick, he says he's spread on 3 people, but that at least one of them must be wrong. And I'm like, well, at least 2 of them are wrong. And I think that's kind of the problem.
I mean, without knowing too many specifics, because he didn't name anyone in his suspicion scene, I would hazard a guess that all 3 of those were wrong.
Yeah, probably.
So as you said, he's upset. He didn't expect it. He had 3 people he was suspecting, but obviously they weren't right. He loved the challenges, but psychologically it's a different game. His body's looking forward to a good sleep, but his mind is still in the game. And unfortunately, at this point, we just have 2 words for him. He gone.
He gone.
Next time, Freddie Mercury gets exhumed, Stein and Sophie disappear from the pool, and Sam runs away from the test.
I wonder why there's a Valentine's Day poster in the karaoke challenge. Because I think they filmed this like May, June, like normal, and it's not going to air in February. So that has to be there for a reason.
They definitely said in the pre-union it was May, June that they went.
Yeah. So if they're filming it in May, they're airing it in January. Like the Valentine's Day poster just doesn't make sense unless there's like a specific reason for it as part of the challenge. But I can't work out what that would be yet.
I also love that they're going to do this basically sing-on challenge. I think it was sing-on in the Netflix show. I love that they're going to do this accuracy of notes. Yeah, you can only earn money if you're accurate with your singing, and then they're going to do it to a group of people who cannot sing. They're going to earn no money.
God, can you imagine Peter Yan doing this challenge?
Well, exactly. This is what I mean. It's another Peter Yan inspiration because obviously we had the grand €1 million karaoke heist.
Instead, we just get Peter Yan's dick son.
I just want Peter Yan to sneakily have flown to Cambodia and just surprise Sam constantly. That's all I want from this season.
Just like driving one of the tuk-tuks underneath the weird Cheshire Cat cyberpunk outfit in the market.
Yeah, the thing is, Sam said before he left that Peter Yan gave him no advice because he's never been on that side.
Yeah.
But maybe the real reason that Peter Yan gave him no advice was because Peter Yan knew that he was going to fly out.
Yeah.
Oh God, imagine if there's a family visit and Peter Yan comes. Like, I know they don't do family visits for the celebrity seasons, but please bring it back just for this one.
Yeah.
The carnage of Peter Yan just being involved in any challenge on that side.
Peter Yan should have been one of the Cambodian musicians last week.
We just need a Peter Yan cameo in every episode.
Oh my God, Peter Yan in the restaurant, just like underneath one of the tablecloths like a ghost.
Just jump scaring. Lift up the tablecloth to find a napkin. Sam just goes, "Holy shit, Dad, what the fuck are you doing here?"
Rose goes to hide the red napkin in there, and he's like, "What the fuck?"
So, as you may have seen on social media, we finally drafted the pool on Saturday afternoon after Michelle deigned to actually watch the episode. I drafted Micah, Sophie, and Rose, my top 3 from last week. Logan got Gabrielle, Nora, and Stein, and Michelle got Bridget, Ray, and Teun, meaning Sam was left over. As we may have alluded to, Teun went home, which means Michelle, for the first time since China, has lost the first person and broken Logan's streak. But she now has the Nepo baby in her team, as Sam joins Bridget and Ray to all not be the mole. Thank you to everyone who did First Suspicions. It's going to cause a lot of fun, I think, this season, because it's quite disparate. Sophie was the most suspected person with 3.56 out of 10, followed by Rose on 3.83, Sam on 4.39, Stein on 5.33, Micah on 5.5, Teun on 5.56, Bridget on 6.06, Ray on 6.56, Gabrielle on 6.83, and Nora on 7.39. As seems to happen every season now, my team was the most suspected by quite a way, with an average of 4.3, followed by Michelle on 6.06 and Logan on 6.52. Jesus Christ, Saunders. With Teun going, Sam now joins Michelle's team, as I've said, and increases her average to 5.67. 3 people, Alan, Fuzzy, and Bindles, boo, all taking early lead, having Teun in 10th last week. On the other end of the scale are Matt, and I'm very pleased to say our very own Michelle Pierce-Denovan, who had him in first.
Oh, well, that was dumb.
That was indeed dumb. I'm sorry, Michelle. I know there's a small chance you'll hear this, but that was dumb.
Yeah.
Final 2 questions. Who do you suspect and who's going home?
I suspect Sam. I don't know why, but I feel like they're sort of highlighting people like Rose and Micah in those sort of positions when Sam's been getting a lot of them as well. So Sam first, Micah and Rose after that, Ray, Bridget, Sophie, Gabriel, Nora, and Stein. Because I can't see Stein pulling it off. Like I can't see Stein being any good at the mole at this point. And I think Nora's going home next week, so I can't really. I don't feel like it's either of them.
Yeah, I will say this now. Obviously, I'm ludicrously competitive. I hate losing the pool, especially to Michelle, because she's just as competitive as I am. If Sam is the mole, I am going to be ecstatic.
Yeah.
I would love nothing more than losing to Michelle if it means that Sam is the mole. And I come second, obviously, because Saunders should hopefully go out very, very quickly.
Well, you can always steal him at Final Five.
I can, but it's a bit mean because I've done that a couple of times and won because of it. And I think Michelle would be having strong words and threatening me with the oubliette by the point. Again.
Yeah.
My suspects, I mean, it's kind of by default. I have my top three as my team at this point, I think. Micah, Rose, and Sophie in that order. And then Sam, Bridget, Stein, Gabrielle, Nora, and Ray. And yeah, I agree, Nora is probably going next week. We seem to be getting a lot of the fun, snarky confessionals from her while she's still actually in the game.
Yeah. Like, I like Nora, but I think Nora and Ray, for whatever reason, they just sort of don't gel with this group as much as the other people do. And I think usually if you don't fit in with the group, you don't tend to do very well because you're not getting like the hints and everything from everybody else.
Yeah, as brutal as it is, I think if we lost Nora or Ray next week, nothing of value would really be lost.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think I would prefer Ray to go over Nora.
Yep.
But also that's a bit mean to Michelle because, she loses 2 people in 2 weeks. But...
well, too bad.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards it being Nora who goes rather than Ray.
Yeah. I'm kind of fascinated to see what they do with Gabriel because, like, he hasn't really had a lot to do the last 2 weeks. And this week they seem to be actively trying to hide him.
Yeah, he is very much the typical young person they cast who they give absolutely nothing. He's just happy to be there, I think.
Yeah. And, like, I know they kind of did the same thing last year with Rosario, but even Rosario had things to do last year. Like, Gabriel was in a power position in the market challenge, and we still didn't get much of anything from him.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is that Rosario's best moment last season was not something that he did. It was something that Jeroen did.
Yeah.
And that also actually answers the question I had in my head a few hours ago of who the hell actually was the runner-up last season, because I genuinely couldn't remember. So congratulations, Rosario. Anything else you want to say?
While we're talking about last season, I was looking up during the week to see, like, because we mentioned Masked Singer, and I, going through and counting up how many people had done Masked Singer and Expedition Robinson and the Traders. And I was going through, like, Expedition Robinson, and I was shocked to see Case was on that one of the seasons of that. I was not shocked to realise he was the first boot.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, I went through the Masked Singer after we were talking about it last week, and I counted 19. You said it was 22, didn't you?
Yeah, I counted, I think, 22 on the Masked Singer, I think 16 on Expedition Robinson, plus the host of the first junior season, and I think like 12 on the Traders.
Jesus.
And, like, admittedly, like, some people have done, 3 or 4 of them. Well, only one person's done all 4, but, like, a lot of people have done 2 or 3. But even so, that is a lot of overlap.
Yeah, that is a very shallow pool that they're casting from. Right. Thank you for listening to our VS to Mall 2025 recap. We'll be back next week to continue the hunt for the new mall in Cambodia. Don't forget you can contact us on pretty much every social media platform that is in TikTok, where we're RTV Warriors, or you can email us and contact at rtvwarriors.com. You can also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/rtvwarriors. Thank you as always to Marika for the subtitles, and we'll see you next week.
Oh, fuck, I was supposed to come up with something stupid.
Yeah, you really were. You have one job.
Thank you, Michael.
You are welcome for one. It's nice you actually thank me for once. You're so fucking ungrateful.
Yeah.